What's up, everybody? Brett here. We're back today watching some more Total War Warhammer 2 hot replay action. It's going to be a 3v3. We're following the exploits of the one and only Archaon, the ever-chosen. He's got 2 Gore Beast chariots. Thank you. Thank you. And they're going to be up against... We've got the vampire counts. We've got the orcs. We've got the dwarves. Very weird alliance there. I see Blood Knights already. I'm seeing as allies... Gonna have hopefully the artillery support from the Vampire Coast and some armor piercing from the Dark Elves. We are gonna have a lot of work to do if we are going to fully understand this battlefield. 3v3s are wild, as is to be expected. We've got so the Vampire Coast went with a flying core. We've got Luther Harkin. Looks like 1 deck dropper, 1 Fellbat, 1 Deathshriek Terrorgeist. Okay, what else do we have? Cheap front line of the zombie pirate deckhand mobs to be expected. Some zombie pirate deckhand mobs with halberds. Just to kind of intermix with the much more expensive chaos infantry. I like that a lot. Let them take the beating. Let the chaos infantry get in and do the work. And then off to the side we've got sirens and scurvy dogs make excellent flankers. And then the dark elf player looks like he went pretty damn elite. I see Lokir Fellheart on his... What is the name of this dragon called? Tempest, Thunderstorm, something goofy like that. It's a made-up dragon. Anyway, and then you got the Sorcerers with the Lore of Fire. But they're going to be very powerful combo together. And we also see the Chill of Sontar. So the special Hydra for the Dark Elves with Frostbite, so it lowers speed, and it also has a special breath attack. Breath attack. That's a little Freudian slip. The Frost Breath. So, incredibly powerful AoE attack. Also has regen, of course. And then to support Black Ark Corsairs, very thematic. They're even chevroned up. Yeah, not sure what the reasoning is behind that, but maybe that's good. And there's 3 groups of those. Cold One Knights to either side to have a little bit of anti-large, mobile anti-large. Always a good idea. And then, as we already mentioned, Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, he's up front, leading from the front. But he's got Gore Beast chariots, perhaps one of my favorite units in the game. Definitely one of my favorite units on the Chaos roster. They're heavy metal chariots. These things are disgusting looking. And when they run through, especially the Dwarven lines, they're just going to demolish them. Chaos Knights with lances, very expensive cavalry, but also incredible on the charge. 80 charge bonus is huge. 2 Gore Beast chariots, a decent core of Chaos Marauders who are going to supplement. Probably take a lot of the damage, 1v1 wise, while the Chaos Warriors with great axes come in from behind with their armor piercing. A little bit more expensive, but not too expensive. They're honestly a pretty well costed unit for the amount of utility you can get from them. And then Forsaken here, you kind of want to use them out on the flanks, but against greenskins, unless they're fighting black orcs, they'll pretty much maul anything they fight. But being backed up by the weird spawn, that's an interesting choice. So you're sundering armor, just doing tons and tons of damage. They've got 15% physical resistance. They cause fear. They're unbreakable. But you stack that Sunder armor effect with the Frenzy from the Forsaken, and next thing you know, you've got a Blender 1-2 combo here, which I greatly approve of. And Archaon, he's the guy we're going to be following. He has quite a few AoE spells, something else that I highly approve of. Flamestorm is a great one, and Burning Head in a 3v3. You should never underestimate the power of an AoE spell. And there's going to be a lot of things for him to cast on, especially the vampire counts, who are generally vulnerable to fire, bring lots of infantry because they very rarely have much of a choice. Greenskins kind of as well. But they have some pretty interesting choices here as well. I'm seeing a Ragnarok Spider, not the Queen. This spider can't summon anything. But some Doomdiver catapults, only 1 back here, with a little bit of protection, some goblins, some Forest Goblin archers. Probably to protect against any type of Vanguard shenanigans. Luckily for them, these Dark Riders with shields, 2 Dark Riders with shields, 1 with repeater crossbow, they're on the other side of the battlefield. So they're not going to be able to respond in time to shut down that Doomdiver. Orc Erebors, decent in melee. Just standard Orc boys, I like that. They'll beat down Chaos Marauders. In a 1v1, they're already chevroned up, 3 chevrons apiece. And then Savage Orc Biggins for the real heavy hitting. And I actually don't know who wins this. Between the Savage Orc Biggins and the Orc Warriors with great weapons, I think the Savage Orc Biggins win that. And I think it's because all of the armor piercing from them from the Chaos Warriors is wasted because Savage Orc Biggins have no armor. They just straight up have physical resistance. And Wurzag's going to be the Lord. He's got a hell of a lot of his abilities, so we'll see how that comes into play. A Goblin Big Boss on a Wolf, I like that. And it looks like a single unit of Black Orcs, perhaps. Just have that heavy hitting armor. Right in the center. Blood Knights, undoubtedly going to be sort of the name of this game. I can't imagine two groups of Blood Knights with the support of Manfred up on his dragon not being like central to what's going to be part of the game plan here. They're the most mobile things on the battlefield for this side that can actually do something. The Greenskins have some mobility in their Forest Goblin Spider Riders, but they're just going to get smashed by anything they fight, whereas the Blood Knights are kind of the mobile death squad, and they're going to have to be very mobile, I think, to counter what's coming in here from the rear. Graveguard in the back, mixed in with Crypt Horrors. Also a super cool looking unit. We can stop on them for a second. Don't want too much of the action to get underway before we're able to actually kind of talk about what's going on. A nice, juicy front line of zombies here, and they're just going to take the hits. Mixed in with some Skeleton Warriors. I like it. Keep it cheap. Keep your elite stuff in reserve. There's a Necromancer here, probably. Oh no, he's got tons of spells. Well, how many spells does... Ooh, so going for the Necromancer spells, he went with the lore of vampires, while Manfred went with the lore of death. Very interesting. So a little 1-2. Normally you just use a Necromancer as a bit of a battery. Oh god, Burning Head going down. Gonna kill a lot of zombies, but I mean, as long as it wasn't overcasted, that's not a waste. Overcast does more armor piercing, tends to go in a straighter line. But against zombies, you just need the standard cast, and you'll do just fine. And then last but not least, the Dwarves. They brought Felix. I have to imagine they've also bought Grotrek as well, and they certainly have. And the High King, too. You don't get to see Thorgrim Grudgebearer very often. But Felix, Gotrek are on the field, giving him some regen, which is amazing. Thorgrim is super tanky, and if you give him a little bit of regen, he can do a lot of work for you. Longbeard's pushing forwards, Miners with blasting charges taking up defensive positions. But the problem is these Thunderers are very out of position. They need to get on these hilltops with some defensive units. That way they can start shooting down into the massive units that are going to be coming towards them. Yeah, one zombie roasted. Not really worth the Burning Head there. But we'll see if we get any better action going on soon. Alright, I think that's about it. That's the biggest players. Unless there's some... Oh, there's some Ironbreakers on the field too. And of course Slayers as well. Dark Riders with shields coming to pick off some of these Slayers perhaps. But all it takes is 1 or 2 volleys from Thunderers and they'll send them scurrying away. Let's go ahead and speed this up. Did it catch some of these goblins maybe? Yeah, just kept going. Caught a couple goblins. Did a little bit of HP damage. No big deal. But in the air, this is a pretty terrifying goon squad. Lokir plus Luther with the Fellbats. Oh, and they're going right for Manfred. That feels bad. Slán Gold, Power Siphon, Hornswoggle. His speed is down. He's going to need to heal himself. Invocation of the Heck is going off, but that's too little too late. There's not enough to stop them. His best bet was to run over to the Dwarves. Yeah, and Manfred's going to go down instantly. What a gooning. That's horrific. His best bet was to run to the Dwarves. I see a Flamestorm going off here. It looks like it did decent damage, but the Dwarves not the best target. If they bunch up, sure. But they're very magic resistant, and they're not who you want to be targeting with that sort of stuff. Not a Brain Buster. What's that spell called? Don't remember. That's from our boy Wurzag there. Brain Buster is the one that like comes down and hits. Or is that the Fist? Yeah, you know what? It's hard to remember. It's been a while since I got a chance to play as the Pig Lord. But now they own the skies. The skies are owned, and it looks like these Doom Divers are going to get shut down relatively soon. There's not much left here that can defend. Scurvy Dogs wrapping up the Savage Orc Biggins. That's not a fight the Savage Orc Biggins actually want, because they're just going to get torn to pieces by the Scurvy Dogs, which are very cheap units. And it's very, as cool as it is that the Dwarves have kind of taken this hill position, they haven't really taken it well, honestly. This is not really the best micro I've ever seen, but the Gorebeast Chariots are coming in, and they just absolutely are crushing these miners. Another Burning Skull going down, and they're deep in it. That's awesome. How many kills are we talking? Only 6 as of yet. They need to get pulled out. They have a lot of mass, but perhaps not enough mass for how deep they are. Archaon's in here, and he is taking it to these Crypt Horrors and Graveguard. When he pops the Slayer of Kings, his His weapon strength just goes into the stratosphere. Black Orcs getting committed, but they're getting committed versus chaff. And that's the thing that, you know, our, let's call them the allied colors, our, you know, our allies here are doing very well, is that they're putting chaff units on expensive units and putting expensive units on, you know, good targets. Gooning out Manfred was so huge because Manfred is a giant repository of Winds of Magic, and he's also just a strong lord on his dragon, and he's a giant, you know, investment. Oh god, a Winds of Death there. May have killed more of his own units. Can't say that was a good option. But he cost a lot of gold, I guess was my biggest point. And these Thunderers have finally taken up a position that they can be useful, whereas these other Thunderers have not. Doomdiver Catapult offline, shattered, running away. Fellbat's getting sniped out of the sky. Chill of Sontar coming in, and looks to be dueling Thorgrim. Is Felix around here? He's standing in the midst of his Ironbreaker, so he's not unsupported. But the whole point of bringing someone like Felix is that he stays close enough to give that passive regen, and it is active on Thorgrim. So he's slowly regenning, but he just got gooned out. He's wavering. He's shaking. Oh no, not the High King. Lots of buffs going on, lots of debuffs. Black Orcs still in it. Cav is swept through the back line and is now just completely disrupting all of these Thunderers. And I'm sure they'll get in here, and another Flyer Storm going off. That's awesome. And that's it. I mean, the Cold One Knights are in the Thunderers on both sides. Gorby's Chariots are being actively micro. That's what I like to see. And it looks like they're going to get into these Longbeards, who have charge defense against large, but I'm not sure if they were exactly braced for that. These other Iron Breakers need to get in. They've got a few blasting charges left. This is wild. The Sirens haven't even really been committed yet, and they're kind of a devastating unit versus the Dwarves. Well, versus anything, really. But their magic damage gets negated by the Dwarves, but they have really high armor piercing. So it's a bit of a give and take. Blasting charges going off. Crypt Horrors. At least they still have Invocation of Nehek. They kind of divided up their leadership, the Vampire Counts did. So they still have access to Winds of Magic. They just lost their very powerful lord right at the beginning, and that sucks to see. Gotrek and Felix, and it looks like the Slayers are intent on taking down the Chill of Sontar, but it's got regen. It'll just regen up while it's running, and they'll just waste, you know, a lot of time chasing them down. They really need to keep Gotrek and Felix with Thorgrim, with any of the lords that they have left, and keep those buffs going. They need to form that sort of Dwarven Vampire Count death ball that both races are sort of famous for. You know, you just make a big infantry blob, you cycle your buffs, and you just try and, like, weather your opponent's onslaught. The problem is that Archaon is still in great health. 107 kills on him. And if you blob up... Oh no, did I miss another... Or is that mining charges? He's got the AoE spells needed to take out a lot of people. We've also got the Sorceress of the Lore of Fire has Burning Head as well. So any one of those Burning Heads could have been on her. She's got 103 kills as well. And then Lokir Fellheart here, you know, he's not a caster, but they did bring a caster. I don't know if I talked about it. But there's a Vampire Fleet Captain with the Lore of Vampires here. Also summoning. You know, he's going to be summoning these deckhand mobs to inundate these very expensive. You know, they've got Slayers, Black Orcs, Longbeards, Gotrek. This is a pretty powerful death ball normally. But with Taunt lowering their stats. Oh, and then a Firestorm just gets lined up. And that's brutal. Let's look at, oh, and a Breath Attack comes in at the same time. Jesus. And I think that was definitely on Archaon. He just shot up like 60 kills. And those were very expensive units. And then the Chill of Sontar piles on. How many kills is that up to? 54? Pretty good. Thorgrim Grudgebearer. He's broken. And these deck droppers plus Luther Harkin are just able to sit up in the air and chew them up. The Slayers are going to fight to the last dwarf. But sadly, they're on the last dwarf. Watch him go down. Who does he fall to? A zombie? He's just running wild. Let's ignore the rest of this. An enemy lord has died. I have to imagine that was Thorgrim. What a duel. Archaon versus the Lone Slayer. And a couple thousand of his buddies. And a Necromancer. He's going to get kills with every swing. The Slayer is still alive. That's crazy. Nope, there he goes. Peace out, Mighty Slayer. He was decapitated, and with his last breath, or can't really breathe when you're decapitated, right? 844 weapon strength. Holy crap. On Archaon. That's crazy. And this battle definitely feels over, but Gotrek and Felix are going to make it pretty tough. If they can consolidate with whatever, remaining Iron Breakers and things they have left, they're not going to go down easy. And a burning head there. As soon as they try to coalesce into one fighting force, they're just going to get AoE spelled. Now, they're probably running low on spells at this point. I've seen a lot of burning heads. I've seen a lot of firestorms. Ooh, the burning head might destroy these sirens. It definitely hurt them. But it seemed to have triggered some sort of, morale penalty here. Chaos Knight with lances up to 114 kills. Probably have just been chasing stuff down. We see here the carcasses of these Gore-Beast chariots. And it's just this giant blob in the center here. Archaon up to 200 kills. Just laying about left and right. He's poisoned by the Crypt Horrors, the ones that are left. But with just a little support, he's going to go the distance. He's not easy to break. I mean, he's got the crown of domination. So his own leadership as well as the leadership of the allies around him is going to be heightened. Gotrek, Iron Breakers. Yeah, man, you got to keep them together. You can't separate them. That's just a bad thing to do. And when Lokir Fellheart came in, that was it. That was enough of a morale penalty. They all faded. Dark Riders have shot all of their ammunition. 32 kills on them. And that's going to be it. Looking like a mass rout now. One last fireball. One last insulting fireball onto Gotrek. There's one more Slayer and Gotrek. And it looks like it's going to be a bit of a duel here. As they're both kind of clicked right on each other. Deck droppers coming in to kind of make it a little bit of a less fair duel. But don't count out Gotrek. Never mind. He's been hornswoggled. He's screwed. I would have loved to see Archaon and him just duel it out. Because the thing about Gotrek is, he's got huge melee attack at 70. He just doesn't miss. Almost every time he attacks, he hits. And his weapon strength is pretty huge besides. In the 460 range. A couple attacks in a row, and Archaon is just down. But down he goes. Peace out, Gotrek. And that's going to be it, guys. Whew. So, thanks a lot for sending me the replay. Guys, if you want to send me replays, all you got to do is join the Discord. There's a Total War Replays channel. You can hook it up. I check it every now and then to make sure that people are still sending replays and see if there's anything great. I appreciate all the support on these types of series. If you have any suggestions about anything you want to see in the Total War world, especially, all you got to do is let me know. I think in Reddit recently, they've had a bit of, I'm going to call it news in quotation marks, just a general time frame of when we can expect some more content. And the thing about Total War Warhammer 2 is it lives or dies by the next DLCs. And the next DLC, everyone's hoping it's going to be Orcs and High Elves. I'm very open-minded. I'm not really leaning in any particular direction. I definitely have my favorite races. But if I had to choose on the spot, give me more dwarf stuff. Give me, what do they call those things? The Thunder Barges? The big flying, Zeppelins with the cannons on them? The organ guns? That's what I want. Anyway, guys. That's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Brett. My channel is Goodtalk Gaming. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care, y'all.